My name is Irina, welcome to my channel. I'm currently a D2, and as you can tell by the title of this video, I got into dental school with a pretty low GPA if you know anything about applying to dental school. I just wanted to make this video to kind of talk about how I got there and honestly just give everybody a little bit of hope because it can happen. You'd be so shocked how everything works out exactly the way it's supposed to, and the little things that you can do that personally I feel like got me in. First thing I want to say is don't voluntarily take this route. I would not wish upon my worst enemy the stress that I felt applying to dental school with a 3.0 GPA. And to give you a little background on how it happened to me, basically my freshman year of college, it was just like a big adjustment for me. I took 17 credits that semester, including sciences and business because I was a business major, and it was just too much. And I honestly failed like I think all of my classes except I got an A in English. That was cool. And I ended up having to retake that whole semester, so I repeated all those classes. So on my transcript graduating, all of those original classes got erased. But what I didn't know until later was that when you apply to dental school through ADIA, which is what everyone applies through, they make their own GPA. So they take out any special things that your school has, aka historical repeat, which is what my school had. And so it factored all into my GPA instead of my 3.5 that I actually graduated with at my undergrad, BCU. It dropped it all the way down to a 3, adding in those classes. And then organic chemistry I did not do. I had to repeat organic chemistry too. So that was later, but everything else was like great. I actually never got a C in college. I only got A's, B's, D's, and F's. Everything else was fine, but that's how I got there. Also, I will say that this happening to me early on, I just kind of had to know it wasn't the end of the world. Like, I just had to believe that I could still get into dental school even though it happened, because like I was set on that dream. Like, I was going to dental school, I wanted to be a dentist, I knew it, I shadowed, I worked, I loved it. And like there was no other career path that I wanted. I took the time to make sure, which I think everyone should take the time to make sure because it's a big commitment once you get into dental school and choose to go. I got really good at looking how I was going to become a competitive applicant still, knowing that this had happened. The biggest thing I knew for a fact early on was that schools wanted well-rounded people. People who had interests and hobbies and volunteer experience and life experience, things other than a 4.0 GPA. Because if I'm being honest, dentistry is a very social career. And I don't know if everyone realizes that when they get into it, but you're talking to people all day. So after I talked to my advisor probably, and just like everyone in my life about this situation, that's what I kept consistently hearing. And so I was like, okay, take it, run with it. What can I do to make myself this well-rounded applicant? And so I got really involved in student organizations, and one particularly, Students Helping Honduras, love you. I started my freshman year and went all the way to my senior year of college, and I was like treasurer at first, I think, and then vice president, and then president, and like consistently stayed with it. Obviously because it was something I cared about and I loved the mission. And then I also got involved with other dental clubs later. And then also just like I had hobbies. I got really involved in gymnastics and I wrote about it in my application somewhere. Oh, I did, because I started coaching gymnastics. So I wrote about that. Even the jobs that don't really apply, you know, you get life experience, you take lessons out. Schools want people who take lessons from their experiences. So that's really what I tried to do. And I feel like if you do that, if you really are in any single situation and you ask yourself, what am I learning from this? It's honestly life-changing. My life just got like significantly better. My application just got significantly better. And I feel like I'm a better dentist and person because of it. Just find things that you're interested in and extracurriculars and any leadership positions that you can hold and get involved with that as soon as you can. So depending on when you're watching this in your process, if you have a low GPA, the biggest thing that is in your control to outweigh this low GPA is the DAT. That can like immensely change your application, and it's something that you really have to take seriously and you have to commit to studying for, and honestly it is a pain. Like, I don't know a single person who is like, I loved studying for the DAT. Not a single one, okay? Even in dental school now, we all collectively are like, you know what? This test isn't as bad as the DAT, so it's fine, we can do it. Like, literally, it's not fun, but it was, for me, one of the most rewarding experiences because I figured out how I studied. I want to make a video on this separately because I feel like it's so important and something that no one teaches you, and I didn't learn until I graduated because I took my DAT during my gap years. I took 2 gap years after I finished my undergrad degree and was like applying to dental school. This number and this exam can make up for that GPA and make the schools that you're applying to know that you can handle rigor. I will say, going into the DAT, it takes a lot of self-discipline and time management, especially if you're working at all during. I worked at a pediatric dental office 3 days a week, sometimes more, when I was studying for my DAT and taking it. So I would get a coffee at 5 p.m. and go home and study until like 9. And let me tell you, when you take the test and you do well and you get that break, it is so worth it. So worth it. I'm gonna make a whole nother video about taking the DAT because it's a beast and it takes a lot of figuring out what to do to take it and do well on it. If you have to retake it, it's okay. Man, it just got really sunny. Like, it was so cloudy a second ago and I feel like the sun is like right in my eyes. Okay, so long story short, DAT, super important. It's your chance to outweigh that academic issue that you may be having. Okay, the other thing, and this comes when you're applying to dental school obviously, but your personal statement, and I will also be making a video on this if you want to watch that one. When I was writing my personal statement for my application, I basically went into it with the mindset of, I want this to be like a piece of writing that I'm so proud of. Really tells the school why my strengths are gonna make me a good dentist. And strengths that you can't necessarily put on an application. One more thing with the applications, apply early. It's rolling admissions everywhere, and I think this really helped me. I don't know what would have happened if I applied later. I applied like 2 weeks after it opened. It just puts you in the first round. Your application in the hands of people who are not super sick of looking at applications, you know? So if you can, do that. And if you're watching this and it's like already past the cycle, like it's already late in the cycle, don't panic. There's plenty of people that get in and apply later, like so many people. But for me, with my low GPA, I was like, that's something that's in my control and I'm gonna take it and have my application ready as soon as I can. Okay, last but not least is put in all the effort that you can and hope for the best and plan for the worst. What I mean by that is, if your DAT score is not as high as you would like and you don't think that it outweighs your GPA, just go ahead and study again. I took a big risk on this area because I basically took my DAT and then I didn't think it was high enough, but I applied anyway. And then right when I started reconsidering, being like, maybe I should start studying again and take it again, I got an interview. And then so I was like, okay, if I got an interview, they've looked past my stats. And then I had my interview, and then I got waitlisted in December. And then in May, I started to, really in March, April, I was like, I should probably retake that DAT just so it's done. And like, if I have to reapply, then it's done. That mindset stuck around for a few months, and then I procrastinated starting to study until May 30th, actually. I decided that I was going to study again. I bought boot camp, and 24 hours later, Roseman called me, and I got accepted. So it was a risk. It worked out for me, but I honestly would not advise it. I think probably if I had retaken it early on in the cycle, I probably would have gotten more interviews. And I'm going to be honest, I got 1 interview and 1 acceptance, and that's all it takes. So I was very happy, and I love my school. I love where I ended up. I really feel like everything worked out, but it was very stressful. It was a very stressful 6 months. It was not a fun time. Also, I just want to say, if you do apply and you don't get in, it's okay. Like, it's not going to define you. That one extra year of your life of reapplying is not going to, like, it could be the best year of your life. And something so amazing could happen in that year, in that extra gap year. And I actually loved both of my gap years, and I would not change that time for anything. And I was actually sad that I was like thinking I wasn't gonna get in right before I got the call, but I was like, okay, like I get to make the best of this next year. Like I get to have another year working and making money and all this. Try to look on the bright side a little bit. I know it's a lot easier said than done, but the people that get into school are the ones that don't give up. Like no matter what, like no matter all the factors that go into your application and you as becoming a dentist, the people that get in are the ones that don't give up. So just be that person and figure out what is lacking if you don't get in and fix it. I hope this was helpful to somebody. If you guys want me to go into any more detail in any of this, I would love to. I'll be making a bunch more videos on this because I feel like I had to look at my application in a very holistic way since my freshman year. And honestly, it helped me so much. But I also don't want anyone else to have to be in that position if they can, or if they are. Like, I want to help you get there. But yeah, thank you for watching. If you made it to the end, you're amazing.